Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Raise Your Own Bar podcast. My name is Tamara Bucky, and I'm so excited today to interview someone I've known for a long time, Miss Jenny Lake. She grew up in Ohio, directly across the street from my family, and I've watched her grow into now a Navy officer. 6 months ago, she decided to change her life and enlist with the Navy as a commissioned officer, and she is on a brand new journey. Welcome, Jenny. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks, Tam. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you about your journey. I mean, you went to college, you did a few things in the industry, and then you decided to make a complete change with your life and you joined the Navy. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So you want me to just start with like my HR, like the schooling
Yeah,
and all that?
please.
Okay. I always like to talk about like how I got through college and like how I got started just deciding to go to college. So, because I do think it's an important piece to my story. So, college was not pushed upon in my family, and I think we may have discussed that before. But I decided to go and I wanted to be a teacher originally. And
Mm,
so I remember I had to have this special math class. And I remember the teacher just telling us, like, you are responsible for molding these kids, and their learning and their brains and that. And if you can't, then it's going to come back on you. And I don't know what it was about like just hearing him say that, but I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this. And so I remember just looking at the college, another college, and just seeing what they had to offer. It was just a community college. And so I saw human resources and like I had an interaction at my first job with HR. And so like I just kind of knew a little bit about it. Like they just actually, I wasn't in trouble with them, but like it was a conversation that had to be done because people had complained about just silly stuff. But anyways, so I kind of had an idea of what HR did. And so I decided to go to school for that. And I really liked the classes. So I continued. And when I got my associates, I was sitting there at graduation. And I didn't feel complete because I knew like a lot of jobs, employers wanted you to have a bachelor's. So I knew I was going to go on for my bachelor's. But in the meantime, I had a small office job where I was kind of getting exposed to like some random HR stuff. And again, I really liked that aspect of what I was doing with that company. And so continued with my bachelor's. I did online schooling. So I didn't get that like full blown college experience, but I'm honestly okay with that. And so then I graduated and got in HR, and I worked in HR for about nine or so years, and then decided to join the Navy. And I knew I needed to take the OCS route, Officer Candidate School, and because if I went enlisted, I'd take a crazy pay cut. But yeah, so I graduated November 22nd from OCS in Newport, Rhode Island. Yeah, thank you. And
That's so
so
exciting.
yeah, dude, it's crazy because I think about like I knew like this is what I know, HR. I don't know anything like how the military truly operates like internally. And it also I'm going for supply. I'm going to be a supply officer, and I don't know anything about supply, so I knew like this is going to be a big road bump and a challenge, but like I was willing to take that on obviously. um but like just to discuss, like I have a multitude of reasons of why I joined. I've always wanted to join the military. I've always had an interest in it. When I was 18 years old, I had an army recruiter, and it was him and his wife actually that was both in the army, and they were at my house, my parents, a couple times in this week. And at that time, at 18 years old, I chickened out because I had never been away from my family. And so I felt so bad wasting their time because they really did try hard to recruit me. And so I was like, yeah, I'm good. And then I went to college at that point, and college wasn't pushed upon in my family. So I'm glad I chose not to, though, because I wouldn't be where I'm at now, because to get into OCS you have to have at least a bachelor's degree. So I just think that a lot of things happen for a reason. But to go back to my reasoning of joining, so I've always wanted to join, but I chickened out. And then I had been in HR for quite a few years, and COVID hit, and I got laid off. And then I couldn't find an HR job. Like I kept applying. I thought if I don't find an HR job, like I'll just get a job somewhere else, like not doing HR. Well, then my friend reached out to me and was like, "Hey, you should join the Air Force, go to OTS." And I entertained it in my head, but like at that time in life, like I was just like out of shape and like I was like, there ain't no way, dude. Like I can't do that right now. So then like that was another time that, I entertained it. And then fast forward to about actually it was probably a year ago when I started the process, when I talked to the Navy recruiter. I saw that they had HR in the Navy. They have an HR department, but then I come to find out like you can't just get into HR through OCS. Like that was more of like what do you call it, reserves route, and I
Mm.
didn't want reserves. I want active duty. So that's how I got into supply though, because I couldn't do HR. Um, but also I'm a fourth generation sailor, so that was a big piece of why I wanted to join. My great grandfather and then my grandfather and my uncle, they served in the Navy, so now I'm fourth generation. So that was a big piece. And I just felt like I didn't want to regret not trying at least, because I was at this restaurant at the bar and one night, and there was this guy that had a few drinks. And I remember him sitting there saying that like his son is a Marine and he's over in Japan, and he was like, I wish I would have joined. He goes, that's my biggest regret in life.
Mm.
And I don't know if you've ever had like a regret, but like I have that like this is so stupid. So like I didn't play basketball in high school and I regretted that. I was like, I wish I wasn't too chicken to, because I was a shy kid and I just was like, I'm not gonna do it. So, and I always regret it. And that's like such a tiny little minuscule like example, but like I was like, if I don't try the military, I'm probably you probably amplify that regret feeling that I had over basketball in high school times 100, at least. So I didn't want to carry that regret, because seeing that guy talk about it, like you could really see it on his face. Um, so yeah, so I didn't want to regret not trying, because I thought, well, let me go to OCS. If I fail, at least I knew I tried. But then like once you get in there, you're like, okay, this failing is just not even an option at this point. You've made it to this point. So yeah, so just like being fourth generation, not wanting to regret it, and being around people that's been in the military, hearing their stories, like they all say, and even people that's still in today, they're like, you will make memories like forever that you're in the military. So just a combination of those were the like top things. So
Yeah, that makes sense. And I have some of that too. I wanted to join the Air Force at one point, and I graduated, and then 9/11 happened, and I chickened out. And I did regret it for a while. I thought about joining later in life after I had my degree as well and joining as an officer. But because they couldn't guarantee my career field, I was not willing to take a different career field. And so I just didn't do it. But I have supported the Department of Defense in my work in other ways, as a civilian and then now as a contractor and whatnot. So at least I do get to support the warfighter, but I can definitely relate a little bit to that.
yeah.
Being a fourth generation Navy member is phenomenal. Like, I love that. How did your parents react to you joining?
That's a good question. I feel like my mom was pretty quiet about it. I mean, like they were very supportive of both my mom and my dad. My dad was excited, but he's also like just scared. He watches a lot of news. So, but overall they were definitely supportive and just asked like, okay, so where you at with it now? And then when I went in, my mom and my nephew, like they wrote me a lot, sick cards and that. So just super supportive all around.
That's great.
Yeah.
So now you're at the point you've joined, you're waiting to go to your next training, which will be back. Is it back in Rhode Island for you?
Yeah, Newport, Rhode Island.
Okay. Where you'll learn all about supply chain and logistics, and then you'll get assigned somewhere to a boat, I presume, or a schoolhouse or something.
So in the Navy, we don't have boats, we have ships.
Oh,
And no, you're good. So yeah, so I go to supply school for 23 weeks in Newport, Rhode Island, and then I guess it's going to determine on what I want to do, what platform. So I can either go on a ship, or there's submarines. And so I'm really interested in the submarine because, from my understanding, it's a more of a challenge. You're a department head, and that's just where you're like the main, like you are the officer on this, and it's not as big as like an aircraft carrier or anything like that. So it's just you take on a lot more responsibility and you got to like be on top of your A game. I mean, you obviously should be on top of your A game no matter where you're at, but like it's like full force on a sub. And so if I decide to stay, this is how I understand it. So like hopefully I'm like saying this correctly. Down the road, like when you're getting promoted and stuff, like at some point, like it would require like a submarine tour. So like to get that down and out of the way for your first tour would be like
Mm.
huge, beneficial for me. But like I'm very open minded because I know I had a career in HR as long as I did. So like I have to serve 4 years. So if I don't like supply, I can maybe lat transfer over to HR or maybe I just get out and go back to the civilian world. I don't know.
Okay.
Um, but yes, back to your question. So yeah, so I could go either way. Not the supply school though. They talk about how they're very close knit and like they'll learn how you are. If they don't feel like you're a good fit for submarines, like they're not going to advise that because they have a lot of weight to where you go next. But yeah, so I'll get stationed somewhere. But if I do subs, I have to go to this school to learn about subs. So and that's
Oh,
another piece of the challenge. Yeah.
yeah. So you got to learn more about the actual ship that you'll be on.
Hmm.
Interesting. How
Yeah.
exciting. I hope you get somewhere cool so I can come visit you, honestly.
Oh, dude, I want to go to Italy or maybe Spain, you know.
I
I feel
love both
like
of those places. Let's go.
yeah, dude. That, and then like third, which it doesn't mean I'm gonna get any of these, but like and then maybe Hawaii, which that's a very competitive one, and I'm sure Italy and Spain is, but I don't know. Find out. I'll
Wow.
just be happy wherever I go. I don't really care.
I mean, at this point, it's just life experience. So you're going to make the best of it no matter what, because it's going to be so exciting and new and adventurous, regardless of what
Yeah.
the location is. Even if it's, I mean, what's the worst case scenario? I don't know. Virginia,
They say
Guam,
like Norfolk,
Florida. Like, I don't
Virginia,
know.
like sucks, but I'm like, I'm trying to get on a sub, so I'm gonna be underwater, you know?
That's true. You don't really care about the locale anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens.
And I love the idea that you have so many options. I love options because options feel like freedom. So, gaining this experience, if you decide it's not for you, there's no harm. You can always go back into HR and you might even be able to internally transfer to an HR role within the Navy if you decide you want to go reserve or something later on.
Yeah,
But I'm just
exactly.
really proud of you to
Thank you.
take these steps. And I've been telling you for a long time, get out of Ohio, try something else just because,
Yeah.
especially Guernsey County, it is brutal for people that have never heard of it. It is the middle of nowhere. It is a tiny county. It's not even really that small geographically, but it only has like 40,000 people. It's very rural, more cows than people by far,
Guernsey
more
County, baby.
cornfields than people by far.
Yeah, seriously. Listen, that's home, man. It's still in my heart.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. And even though I didn't like grow up there the whole time, I was born in California. I have a soft spot for Guernsey County, and it is very humbling to come from a place that has such hardworking people that have been through so much. Guernsey County is a small community because it is so rural. Everybody knows everybody and takes care of each other because they have to, because of the
Yeah.
secluded nature of living out in the sticks.
Lower City.
Lore City, yeah. So Lore City, for people that have no idea, it's not a city. It's a village and it has a population of like 325 people. And it's like 3 miles from the next little village. And you got to drive 10 to 15 minutes to get to town so you can get, gas and groceries and all that jazz.
No stoplights.
No stoplights. Nope. Nope. There is one four-way stop.
Yep.
That's impressive, but no, not much going on in the town. But I'm
So,
excited for you. I really am, and I'm proud of you for going for it because it takes a lot of nerve, especially after you've already established yourself in a career where you were moving up and you were starting to really advance to the point where you had to walk away from a substantial career to do this.
yeah, dude, like I don't even know. It's not that I don't know, but like my pay, like I like you get into a job and like your pay and you have like daily life expenses and like what you can budget for and that. And like that was another stressor for me. I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna look like with my paycheck. Like I mean, like the pay's online, you see it, but like you got this and you got that, and then you don't know like exactly what you need to buy or like how to get a storage unit. And, like I'm still paying out of pocket for that, and I got to figure out like how it works with the military and like reimbursing and that. But I'm like sitting here waiting for supply school for my next command, so I think I need to wait on that. But that was like a big stressor, you know.
Yeah.
But
Having the ability to predict your finances really makes you feel
yeah,
secure.
and then like as you point out, like HR is what I know. You know, I don't know crap about supply. So again, that but I knew like I knew what I was getting into. So I'm like I want to try. You know, like I think it you see like the positive like quotes and stuff on Facebook or like the this is the time to jump when you're scared, you know, and like that's how I felt like just pulling the trigger on like walking into the Navy's recruiting office in Columbus and like saying yes, like just saying yes to the recruiter. I was like, I can't believe like I'm like really doing this. And then like I remember driving to the recruiter's office in downtown Columbus and like I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. Like I'm really doing this, you know, like to leave what I know, you know, HR to knowing nothing for the most part. But um I don't regret it. Not yet at least.
Well, there's still plenty of time for you to regret it, but I hope that you don't. And I'm sure that you
Yeah.
won't in the long run. I mean, you're going to really get to meet a lot of really cool people that you wouldn't meet otherwise, explore, experience, travel, and so on. And maybe you decide you want to go back to Ohio in the long run, and that's cool. But you'll at least have experienced life outside of Ohio, which I think is really important.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy how many people I know in Guernsey County and here actually in Huntsville, Alabama, that have never lived even outside of the county.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by Guernsey County.
Alabama is not too dissimilar to Hunts or to Ohio. It's just that Huntsville is more like Columbus than anything because it's a city. So you have a
Hmm.
lot more people that are from other places and have moved around and stuff, but a lot of locals are they're locals. They were born here, raised here, went to school here, and
Yeah.
stay here.
Actually, I heard a guy talking about like recruiting in Alabama for the military and like yeah, actually he was saying what you just said. Like they've just not been outside the Alabama lines and like there was a kid that he was trying to recruit and he was afraid like he wasn't gonna be able to watch Alabama football anymore if he joined. He's like, dude, he's like that's televised. Like you can watch that anywhere. But the kid just didn't know any better. But so
Oh,
hopefully that kid's doing well.
they take football so seriously here, Jenny. It is wild.
I bet. Well, Buckeye State here, I get it. So
The difference with Ohio, though, Ohio has two major football teams.
yeah, NFL, yeah, Bengals and Browns.
Like, besides that, you also have Ohio State, sure, but Alabama only has college football. And so they are
Okay,
fierce.
yeah, times a million for
Yeah,
the
times a
Fanatics.
million because that's all they have. So they really run with it. And whether you went to either one of the colleges doesn't matter. You have to pick a school and you root for them, and the other team you wish death upon them. No, not
Yeah,
quite that bad, but close.
that's
When I
funny.
first moved here, I had to pick a team, and so I had a friend who is an Auburn fan, and he was like, "Oh, you got to pick Auburn because da 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 da." And I was like, "Well, I'm going to pick the other team then, just to be controversial."
There you
And so
go.
I'm I'm an Alabama fan, and I actually am. I've been to games and stuff now. They are a good
Oh,
team.
yeah, yeah, that's sick. That's awesome.
So Jenny, I just love how you are continuing to raise the bar with your degree first, going to college and then getting your bachelor's and then going on and rising up the ranks through your HR experience and having to overcome the challenge of being laid off during COVID. I know how stressful that can be. Tell me a little bit more about how you were able to bounce back from that setback.
From being laid off, is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah.
yeah, well, I'll tell you, being persistent is what's key. So, like, understanding what priorities are. And like during COVID, we all were getting that $600 extra on our unemployment, right? And as much as that was, as nice as that was, I knew that wasn't going to last forever. And so, like, I did not stop applying for HR jobs. I mean, like I said earlier, like, I was at the point where I'm like, I'll just work at Amazon or something, like, I want some type of stable paycheck. But I finally got a job. And so, mind you, when I got laid off, I was an HR generalist. And when I finally found an HR job, it was an HR coordinator job. And so that was technically a step down with my experience, but that stable paycheck was what was important to me.
Hmm.
And so I took that and I ran with it, but then I ended up getting my old job back and I made more. And then I just built from that. And then my last job before I went to the Navy was an even better one. So like just keeping in mind like what your goals are and not giving up. Like that's how I bounced back after getting laid off. Because I've been at a couple jobs where I was laid off and then I witnessed a layoff where I was at. I didn't get laid off, but I knew the company wasn't doing great. And actually, that was another big reason why I decided to join the military because I'm like, job stability, baby. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going anywhere if I join the military. So that was another big reason. But yeah, that's how I bounced back. I just didn't give up on applying. And like, I knew, like, okay, this is a step down, but this is what I need to do in the moment. So,
Yeah. And sometimes you do have to take a step back or a step to the side in order to move forward again.
mm,
So good for you for being able to put aside your pride or your ego or whatever you want to call it to be able to take that role.
yeah.
So now you're continuing to raise your bar by learning all of these new skill sets, including the military side of things. Like not only are you learning the supply chain side, the logistics piece, and that's quite extensive, but the whole military side, there's a history, there's a culture, there's a language. How are you managing to keep up with all of this new information?
Oh, dude, that's a good topic because like it's tough. Like there's always the running joke on social media, like all the acronyms in the military, like that's just one subject. And right now I'm on a program called OHARP, so I'm at home helping at a recruiting station or working on base at the headquarters. And so just doing that is keeping like I'm being exposed to like new military things and how they do stuff and talk. So like that's one thing that I'm doing currently. But like I have a book that I bought. It's what's it called? Like newly commissioned officer or something. And it kind of just runs down like, okay, when your first command, like expect to do this. This is what they do here, and like your role with your chief. So like as I'm an O1 ensign, so I'm just a junior officer, and I will work hand in hand with a chief. And so, like the book talks about like how your relationship should be with the chief and with the junior sailors and whatnot. So just reading on things is helpful that I've been doing. So yeah, those are the two current things.
What about as far as studying the new things? When you go into your next set of training, do you have a plan for how to absorb all that information and keep yourself organized? I always like to hear about other people's kind of study habits and whatnot.
Yeah, so actually, we had a brief at the supply school before I graduated OCS, and someone did ask, like, is there anything we can study to prepare for supply school? And they laughed and they said no. So, so there's nothing like physically that I can study. Currently, though, I'm working with a commander who was what was his title? He worked at the supply school, and he was at the top, and he said he's just gonna kind of just go over things to help prepare, like just to have an idea, not really prepare, but have an idea of how it's going to operate there, and just answer any questions we have regarding supply or the military itself. So that's actually another Commander Lindley. He's a resource and he's been really cool. That's one really cool thing about the military is like the amount of networking you can do in such a short time, like because you're meeting different people and like just through normal conversation, they'd be like, oh, like I know somebody that like would be really good for that. And so, so actually meeting new people, I'm going to have some meetings set up with some other supply officers here soon at the base here in Columbus. So that's another thing, just networking.
Okay. And then how do you stay organized with your information when you're actually like in a class trying to learn? Like when you were in OCS, I know you had a bunch of different classes that you were taking, or you had projects and presentations and exams and things like that. Like, what do you do to keep all of your stuff organized when you're in school?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, at OCS, like it's very academic heavy, and so they're giving you a whole lot of information in a short time frame. They want to see how you absorb it and then can regurgitate it. So, study habits is just, we did a lot of PowerPoints, just reviewing those slides. Making note cards was huge. So, like, you might be in formation and you're quiet because we can't talk to begin with, but like you're just studying note cards.
Mm.
Um, and then when you have free time at night, it's just a couple hours, just again, just sitting at your desk in your hatch and just studying what you can, whatever way is best for you. Me personally was note cards. So, and just reading. It was tough, dude. It was really tough, but I got through.
I use note cards too. I find them to be, they just seem more digestible because they're bite-sized chunks of information versus like writing things out in a notebook can feel like overwhelming.
Yeah, of course. Well, and like the things that we were learning at OCS, like the topics, they were like some of them were just over my head or just didn't like engineering and weapons, like that was so boring to me. And so like I really had to like buckle down and study the slides and whatnot. But yeah, for me personally, note cards was the big thing.
And welcome to the world of PowerPoint presentations. Like, I hope that you're prepared to live and breathe PowerPoint slides for the duration of your Navy career because that's what the military operates off the back of PowerPoint slides.
Yeah, I've heard death by PowerPoint for the
Well, death
military.
by PowerPoint can absolutely happen, and I have even done it myself. I've put people to sleep with slides, but you just got to figure out a way to jazz them up. If you can, just add just a little bit of sparkle to keep it interesting, and try not to
Yeah.
read from the slides. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
man, it's tough sometimes. Though I teach classes, and some of it is like pretty boring material, so you got to be creative with at least an emoji here and there.
Yeah, that or like just I think for me personally, like I'm interested in someone's lecture if they're moving around. They're sharing stories like we had a senior chief and I thought he did a really good job because like he would share stories in between like teaching and he moved around a lot. So I don't
Mm.
know, that just kept me engaged.
Yeah, that makes sense. Given stories here and there absolutely can keep people on the hook.
Yeah.
Do you think that you will continue to mentor people? I know you've mentored people in the past. Do you think you'll continue to do that in the Navy?
Of course. I mean, that's part of a job, of your job as an officer. So, like, you're overseeing the junior sailors, well, the enlisted, really. And so, being a mentor is huge. Um, I'm really thinking that my HR skills that I done, for 9 years, it's going to apply here in the Navy. So, I'm confident on that. But yeah.
Yeah, that probably gives you a huge leg up, actually. The ability to talk to people and have crucial conversations is so powerful in any type of job, in any role, but especially as a leader when you have to get people to fall in line and possibly reprimand them as well as motivate them to do better and push themselves towards growth.
Yeah, of course. Because you want to earn their respect, and I think of like, okay, when I was in HR, like I did manufacturing is where I worked for my HR career for most of it. So like walking on the plant floor was something I did, and then just have casual conversation. Like it doesn't have to be business related. Just how's your day going, or
Mhm.
how's your kid doing, kind of thing. And OCS they really express that too. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I've done that in my previous career. So
Well, it's all about building connections. And in order to build a real connection with someone, you have to get to know them as a human, not just for the role that they fulfill in the company or in the Navy. They're a human being with family and goals and hopes and dreams.
exactly. Yeah, they're human. I'm human. Be genuine, and it should be good.
Yeah.
Should be at least.
Building connection is something that I was just reading about the younger generation, Gen Z, they struggle with building connection and just communication in general. And it's really starting to impact like the work relationships and their promotability and sometimes even their hireability.
That's crazy. I did not know that. These are the kids that's been in their tablets though growing up, right? So
Yeah.
I would probably put some of the blame on that. But that's just my opinion.
No, I think that's spot on. The more you're online in that social world, we have social media and all these social networks, but those aren't social skills. Like, yeah, you're communicating, but you're doing it with just one format, text or maybe
Yeah.
video, versus being able to have a conversation. Like, I forget what college it was. There was a college that just announced that they're now teaching people basic phone skills. Like, people are so afraid to even make a phone call to ask for a reservation at a restaurant because they just haven't had to use the phone for a phone purpose. Like, they're just on their phones on apps. They're not actually using the telephone function.
That's crazy, dude. I'm not surprised though. Like I got a little sister and like she gets anxiety just like calling a doctor's office to schedule an appointment, you know? And like I was born in 90, so I'm 34. And so like when I was a kid, I was outside playing with the neighbor kids, socializing and doing all that good stuff after school. So that I don't see a lot of kids doing that today.
No, and you know, it's it's probably society's fault as well as the parents' fault, as well as the school system's fault. But what do we do about it now? We have to teach the kids now they're starting to become adults and in the workforce. We have to teach them how to move past those things that are holding them back. So, like your sister, has she done anything proactive to try to address her anxiety, or do you have any thoughts on maybe what people can do given their past?
Honestly, as far as she goes, I don't know if she has or not, but you just gotta do it. You can't be a chicken. You just gotta do it. Like I hate to be blunt like that, but I mean, what else you gonna do? Like when I was 18, I was petrified to drive. My parents didn't teach me, and thank the good Lord above for my exes because your brother being one of them. He made me get behind the wheel and he's like just go, and so I'm like, oh okay, like this is not nearly as bad as I thought. So um so you just got to do it. There's nothing else to it.
I agree. Like anything else, like anything you've never done before, chances are it's going to be scary. It's going to be anxiety inducing because it's new. And, some things, it's funny because some things we see other people do and we're like, ooh, I want to do that. I'm excited to do that. But then other times we see things and it makes us scared and anxious. But what's really the difference between feeling scared and feeling anxious versus feeling excited? In your body, it's the same reaction.
Yeah.
Like your heart pounds, you feel flushed, you feel hot, you might sweat, you feel a little bit shaky. The same exact effect in your body. It's really just a matter of your perspective, whether you're
Yeah, you're
excited
right.
or scared.
That's just like me joining the military. Petrified, dude. Like I'm leaving what I know and I'm like you just got to leap, you just got to jump.
Yeah.
So,
And the more you do it, the easier it gets, whether it be making a phone call to make a reservation or, you know, whether it be to just take big leaps in life. And I think the more risks you take, the greater the reward. And then possibly even the more risks you're willing to take later because you see how much you can actually gain by taking those risks.
yeah, for sure.
One thing that I think about Jenny that's really cool is that you mentioned you're 34. And most 34-year-olds are not joining the military. How has that been for you?
Well, that was definitely something I took into consideration before joining because I was like, I'm probably gonna be like one of the older ones at OCS. Can I even do it? But honestly, there's someone I follow on TikTok. Her name's Heather, but she joined the reserves for the Army at like 32, I think. And so like before I decided to join, like I watched her and I was like, if she can do it, like I can freaking do it. Like because I was thinking of like the physical side of it. I'm like, but I've been working with a trainer for like a year and a half at this point, and I was like, I'm the furthest in shape I've been in a long time. So like I'm like I'm not gonna let that like steer me. So like age is just a number in that aspect. But also I'm like I'm joining at 34 and I'm gonna report to people who are younger than me. So that was something I had to take into consideration. But I'm like, but again, how bad do I want it? You know what I mean? And so I'm like, I know what I'm like signing up for. So like I took that into complete consideration. I'm like, okay, great. So they've been in longer than me, so they know more than me at this point. So like I can lean on them. No, I don't care about their age, you know, like as long as I'm treated like a human, I'm going to treat you like a human and we're going to be professional. And because even at OCS, like I had lieutenants in the Navy that's an O3. I'm sitting down with this individual and I know she's younger than me. I can just tell. And we're looking over my peer reviews. And I actually had a really good conversation with her and she got to know a little bit about me and that. But so that was kind of a moment I had at OCS where I'm like, holy crap, like this person's younger than me and I like here I am calling her ma'am, you know? Um so that was something that definitely crossed my mind. Like, am I too old to do this? Like again, I've been in HR for 9 years. I'm 34. I want it too bad. I don't care. I'm not going to let that stop me because, like, there are some, like, my recruiter actually, he enlisted at 33 or 34, actually. So it is actually a little more common, but like, you see a lot of people talking crap too. They're like, oh, why didn't you join the reserves if you've done HR for so long? And you see people talk crap online too, on other people's videos, but I'm like, I'm not gonna let that stop me. Like this is my journey, you know, it's just like fitness. Like this is your journey. You don't need to compare it to anyone else, you know?
Yeah.
So
Comparison is only going to upset you, really. It's a waste of
mm,
energy.
it really is.
But I think that as I've gotten older, maybe when I was younger, I certainly thought age mattered. As I've gotten older, I realize as long as they're competent, human to human, we're equals. And I know this because I know people that are 21 years old that are so wise and have so much knowledge for whatever their respective career field is. Like, I have a friend, for example, he's a videographer and a marketing guy, and he's self taught, he's never gone to college. And he is just so wise when it comes to relationship stuff, when it comes to communication. I mean, I can't believe how smart he is at his age. And I met him when he was like 19. Pretty wild.
That's cool.
I
Yeah.
look up to him like an elder in some ways.
Yeah. That like and joining also an older age, like because I got other people's opinion that were my friends that had been in and you know, they're like, well, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword. They're like, you are more mature than most of the individuals coming in. And you just may not be as physically fit as you were at, you know, 24 or however young they get in OCS. So, but overall, you know, again, don't regret it. For anyone out there, I would not let your age decipher your decision of joining the military. Do not. Like you can do it. Age is just a number, you know?
Yeah. What's the cutoff? Do you know?
For the Navy, I think like I don't know if this is for officer or if it's just enlisted or both, but like they're clear up to like 41.
Wow.
So, like if you go for like SWO, surface warfare officer, like there's definitely an age limit for that because that's what I thought I wanted to do. And then like so glad I didn't take that route. But my age I was too old for it to do that. But yeah, I think it's 41.
Wow. That's amazing. I think when my ex was in boot camp, there was someone who joined that was like 35 that was joining the Air Force. And so, I always kind of knew that that was an option. It's not as common, but I think just all of the world experience that you've had a chance to go through when you're joining. I mean, you obviously you're starting at the bottom of the ladder, but you're going to move up so quickly because of your life skills, I think.
Yeah, I know first 2 years I get promoted automatically, so that's cool. But as far as like just the skill set, yeah, for sure. It should be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
So I know you got you're wide open with your future, and we've talked a little bit about your Navy goals. What about some other goals that you might have for yourself? You just maintain with your fitness. Do you see a degree in your future to pursue a master's or anything like that?
That's a really good question. I feel like right now I'm so like deep into like the military of like just trying to navigate and know like what I need to do and like what my next steps are because like right now I'm trying to find a place to live when I go back to Newport and I'll have roommates in that. But really like fitness has always been a big thing for me. So like they take that into consideration for your promotions, right? So like
Mm.
I really need to hammer down. And I have definitely been distracted being home. I'm not gonna lie. So like I mean I'm still getting in the gym and stuff, but you gotta be disciplined, man. They teach you that in OCS, and I now I see it. Like this is where I need to apply it, right? So when I get to school, I'll be good to go for my next fitness test. But so really, yeah, fitness, just hitting some numbers for my mile and a half and my push-ups and plank time. As far as the Navy specifically goes, like just moving forward with school, like once that happens, it's like it's time to buckle down and just really focus on my academics. And then really I kind of feel like I should answer this better, but like that's where I'm at right now in life. So
Yeah,
as
no,
far
I
as
think
goals
that's a good
go.
answer. I
Yeah.
think that's an adequate answer. You have a lot of goals short term. You've got to get to school. You've got to get through school. You've got to find your first duty station. Get acclimated and learn on the job. So, I would love to have you back in maybe like a year and a half, 2 years from now to see how you are and how settled in you might be with your job and how things are going.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Because by then I'll have a once I get into the fleet, so like after supply school and I get stationed somewhere, I'll officially be in the fleet. And so like that's when I'll really get a taste of the Navy because like people ask me now, they're like, "Oh, so like how do you like it?" And like I mean, I like it so far, but I've only gone to OCS, so that's all I know.
Yeah.
What I've been exposed to at the base, like, yeah, that's cool. Like getting saluted at the gate, like that's cool, or just, in general, just like meeting new people and stuff. So I'm just not deep enough into the military to really give a true opinion on it
Yeah.
and to set some long term goals. Because, like I said earlier, I don't know, I might get into it and hate it. So as of right now, I will say I would like to retire from the Navy, but again, we got to see how I like it. So, and
Yeah.
that's where my open mindedness is coming into play.
Well, it's good to have a goal. And with the military, it's a 20-year goal if you're going to retire. So I love having a 20-year plan. And also, I love having the freedom of I can deviate from that plan if things don't work out. So I love that your future is wide open.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Jenny. Well, this has been a really good conversation. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. Is there anything else that you want to say or any other advice you want to give to anybody that might be just looking for ways that they can raise their bar in life?
Yeah. So first off, thank you for having me. If I had to give any other advice, I would say do not give up. Know for sure what you want, and look into it across the board, pros and cons. And if you think you're going to regret something, then that means you need to do it. So that's what I got.
Great advice. I love it. Thank you so much, Jenny. All right. Well, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it, and we will talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Tam. Bye.
Thank you.